In the quiet corridors of global diplomacy, a tremor has just been felt. Reports are emerging that Japan, for decades the staunchest US ally in Asia, is engaging in exploratory talks with the BRICS bloc. This is not just a minor policy adjustment, it's a potential diplomatic earthquake. For over 70 years, the US-Japan alliance has anchored Indo-Pacific stability. The idea that Tokyo would even consider aligning with a group seen as a counterweight to American influence is stunning. Sources within Japan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirm these preliminary talks, focused on economic cooperation and observer status. The very existence of these talks signals Japan is hedging its bets, no longer willing to rely solely on the US. This move is a calculated response to years of frustration and a rapidly changing global landscape. The world is watching closely. What Japan does next could redefine alliances for generations. Is this the first major domino to fall in a grand realignment of global power? To grasp the magnitude of Japan's current considerations, we must look back at the US-Japan alliance. Forged after World War II, the US rebuilt Japan, transforming a former enemy into a democratic powerhouse. The 1951 Security Treaty guaranteed Japan's security, with US troops stationed on Japanese soil. In return, Japan became a crucial forward base for American power in Asia. Sheltered under the US nuclear umbrella, Japan focused on economic growth, becoming an industrial giant. For the US, Japan was a bulwark against communism and a strategic asset near the Soviet Union and China. The alliance was more than military. It was the bedrock of Japan's prosperity and identity. Over decades, the relationship deepened, weathering trade frictions and adapting to new global realities. Japan became a key partner in global initiatives, from development aid to peacekeeping. This long history of mutual benefit and trust makes the current drift so significant. The alliance, once unshakable, now faces its greatest test. The US-Japan alliance began to crack with the rise of America First foreign policy. Prioritizing domestic interests, the US withdrew from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, leaving Japan and others stunned. The TPP was more than a trade deal. It was a strategic tool to balance China's influence. The sudden US exit signaled that long-term partnerships could be sacrificed for short-term politics. Steel and aluminum tariffs, justified on national security grounds, further eroded trust. Even loyal allies like Japan were not immune to unpredictable US policy shifts. The reliability of the US as a partner was now in question. Japan realized it could no longer take American commitments for granted. This vulnerability pushed Tokyo to quietly explore new partnerships. In response, Japan launched a quiet but determined diplomatic campaign. Japan led the salvage of the TPP, rebranding it as the CPTPP and rallying the remaining countries. This move proved Japan could lead in shaping the global economic order, even without the US. Japan also finalized a massive free trade agreement with the EU, creating one of the world's largest free trade zones. By aligning with the EU, Japan diversified its economic relationships and reduced reliance on any single market. Japan deepened engagement with Southeast Asia, investing in infrastructure and strengthening ties with ASEAN nations. Through diplomacy, aid and investment, Japan built a network of support independent of its American anchor. This multi-pronged strategy was a clear effort to build strategic autonomy. It set the stage for Japan's bold consideration of engagement with BRICS. Japan was no longer content to be just a junior partner. To understand Japan's calculus, we need to grasp BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Once an investment concept, BRICS evolved into a bloc seeking a greater voice in global governance and a multipolar world order. The bloc represents a huge share of the world's population, land, and economic output. BRICS established its own institutions, like the new Development Bank, offering alternatives to Western-led financial systems. In 2024, BRICS expanded, adding Saudi Arabia, UAE, Iran, Egypt, and Ethiopia, becoming BRICS+. This expansion increased its economic and strategic weight, especially in energy markets. For resource-dependent Japan, BRICS+ presents both a challenge and an opportunity. The bloc now controls key resources and offers new avenues for economic partnership. Japan's engagement with BRICS is a pragmatic, if risky, move. Japan is resource poor and depends on imports for energy. BRICS+ now includes major energy producers. Engaging with the bloc could help Japan secure energy supplies and hedge against market volatility. BRICS+ nations also offer a vast network for diversifying supply chains, reducing Japan's over-reliance on any single country. This enhances Japan's economic resilience in a fragmented world. Strategically, opening dialogue with BRICS signals Japan's independence and rebalances its foreign policy. It's not about abandoning the US alliance, but supplementing it with diversified relationships. The BRICS+ market is massive and growing, offering new opportunities for Japanese exports and investment. Ignoring this bloc is not a viable long-term strategy. For Japan, the potential economic benefits may outweigh the geopolitical risks. It's a calculated step toward greater autonomy and security. Japan's pivot toward BRICS carries significant risks. The most serious is jeopardizing its security alliance with the US, the cornerstone of Japanese defense. Any tilt toward a bloc with rivals like China and Russia could be seen as betrayal in Washington. Within BRICS, Japan must navigate complex relationships, especially with China and Russia. Aligning with a bloc containing its regional rival and a sanctioned Russia is politically fraught. There's also reputational risk. Japan's identity as a leading democracy could be undermined. Economic benefits are not guaranteed. BRICS is not a monolith, and internal frictions are real. Japan is gambling. It can manage these risks and reap rewards, but the strategy could backfire. The tightrope walk is delicate, and the stakes are enormous. If Japan partners with BRICS, the global order could shift dramatically. It would signal the end of G7's uncontested leadership and legitimize BRICS as a true alternative. Other US allies might follow, accelerating the move to a multipolar world. For the US, this would be a strategic setback, undermining its Indo-Pacific strategy. For China, it would be a geopolitical victory, weakening the US-led alliance system. Japan's move would enhance BRICS' prestige and China's influence. The world would become more fragmented, competitive, and less predictable. Regional powers would gain more agency, playing larger blocks off each other. Japan's choice could mark the birth of a new, uncertain global landscape. Today, Japan stands at a crossroads that will shape the 21st century. Its decision on BRICS will have lasting consequences for global power and alliances. This is a choice between the certainty of an old alliance and the promise of new autonomy. The world is becoming more multipolar, and countries must adapt. Japan's position between the US and China makes its choice a bellwether for others. Whatever Tokyo decides, the old status quo is gone. The very discussion has already changed the dynamic, putting the US on notice and boosting BRICS legitimacy. Nations now act on pragmatic interests, not just ideology. Japan's choice will draw the new map of global power for decades to come. The aftershocks of this diplomatic earthquake have only just begun.